S-U-S-J-E, S-U-S-J-E, S-U-S, and Jesus was his name, oh.
Hey, boys and girls, and welcome to St. Joe's Story Hour. Every once in a while, we get a reader who comes from someplace far away. And today we have Jeremy Goldstone reading one of his all-time favorite books. It's called Salty Seagull, The Tale of an Old Salt. And part of what happens in the story of Salty Seagull is that it's the older seagull who's really the wisdom figure in the group. It's the older one, sometimes like our grandparents or even our great-grandparents or people who've been around for a while, and they know an awful lot. And so enjoy the story of Salty Seagull and wonder, do you know some people who are maybe pretty old, and that's okay, and very, very wise, and I bet they're very good to you. Enjoy the story, and I'll see you when it's over.
Hello, boys and girls. My name's Jeremy, and I'm going to be reading you a story called The Tale of Salty Seagull. Salty Seagull was a salty old salt. He was wise in ways around the water. Salty lived on a little island with a big flock of gulls. He was the oldest of his flock. Salty's wings drooped down, but they still carried him far, and the feathers on them were bright and black. Salty proudly held his head high. Young birds in the flock, Cindy and Simon Seagull, thought that he was the smartest gull of all. But other gulls didn't think so. When Salty tried to tell them what they should or shouldn't do, those gulls sassed him. "Don't get your feathers ruffled," the sassy birds said to Salty. They really didn't think that he was very smart. In the summertime, all the gulls led lovely lives on Little Island. The weather was breezy and warm, and there were lots of little fish for them to catch and eat. But one summer, a big rain came. The wind picked up and blew and blew. It was blustery. It blew so hard that the gulls didn't even try to fly. They huddled together on the ground beside some bushes. The gulls were afraid that they would blow away. "Salty, what are we going to do?" cried Cindy Seagull. She was scared. "What's happening?" asked Simon Seagull, trying to be brave. "This is a hurricane," Salty said. "I have seen many bad storms like this." "Stay down and be still," he said. "We will soon see the eye of the storm. The wind will stop blowing and the sun will shine." "Don't pay any attention to him," the sassy seagull said. "Salty's just a bird-brained old bird." Then the sassy seagulls tried to fly, but the wind carried them faster and faster. It tumbled and turned them. Suddenly, bright sunshine came out, and the wind stopped blowing. The weather was beautiful, just as Salty had said. It was the eye of the hurricane. Cindy Seagull soared into the sky. She felt as free as a bird. Oh, how beautiful, she thought. Simon Seagull flew up to join her. "Salty was right," he said. But Salty Seagull shouted, "The storm will return. Come back where it's safe." So they all flew to the ground and huddled together again. The storm returned, as Salty said. It blew and rained some more, and then the storm was over. The sassy gulls came back straggling to Little Island. Cindy Seagull tried to tell them about the eye of the hurricane, but those sassy gulls shook their heads. "Just some more of Salty's tales," they said. The season of hurricanes soon ended, and the weather turned cold. There were fewer and fewer fish in the waters around Little Island. The gulls were having trouble finding enough to eat. They were getting hungry. "What are we going to do for food?" Cindy Seagull asked. "Let's ask Salty," replied Simon Seagull. "Maybe he has a plan." Salty did know what they should do. "We can eat clams," he said. The sassy gulls laughed. "What a bird-brained idea," they cackled. "You know we can't eat clams. Their shells are too hard." Salty Seagull didn't say another word. He flew away over the water, and the other gulls watched as Salty dived into the cold water. Soon he came up with a clam in his beak. Then he did a surprising thing. Salty Seagull flew with the clam to a nearby road. He flew high above the road. He dropped the clam, and its shell broke into pieces. Juicy meat spilled out of it. All the gulls were so surprised. They too began diving and picking up clams and dropping them onto the road. The clams broke open and meat spilled out. The gulls had plenty of food to eat. There was just one thing wrong. When the gulls sat down in the road to eat clams, cars came along.
Beep,
It
beep.
was dangerous to eat clams on the road.
beep, beep.
"Watch out for the cars," Salty warned them, and all of the gulls listened to him. One day, humans came and worked near the road. They were paving a parking lot in front of a store. The parking lot was black and hard. Salty Seagull was pleased. "What a good place to drop clams," he said. "It should be a safer place for us." As soon as the parking lot was done, the gulls began to drop clams on it. "You were right, Salty," said Cindy Seagull. "The parking lot is safer than the road. The store is closed this time of year. We won't have to worry about cars." None of the gulls were ever sassy to Salty again. And the gulls said as they dropped their clams, "Thanks to Salty Seagull. We will never go hungry in the wintertime again." That is the end of Salty the Seagull. Thank you, boys and girls, for listening. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
How about that? Isn't Jeremy a really terrific reader? Do you know where he's from? I'm not going to tell you. I bet you can figure it out. And how about those terrific sound effects? There's a whole story associated with that as well. But isn't it true, the story of Salty Seagull, that sometimes it really is very important to pay extra special attention to the stories of our grandparents and other people who are up there in the years because they have so much wisdom to share. Who's in your life that might want to be able to share their wisdom with you? And remember, Jesus is always asking us to pay attention to the wisdom that he wants to give us through all sorts of different people. I hope you enjoyed the story, and I'll see you next time.